in that these persons who are mentally ill are being kept under inhumane conditions in our national prisons.
Noel Chambers, and this is my straight talk, is dead. He died quite a few years ago after he spent almost 40-something years in prison. He was 81 years old when he spent 40-something years in prison, not being charged with a crime. He was held on the Governor General's pleasure. Now, what do you mean by the Governor General's pleasure? The Governor General has the right to detain you for as long as possible, or you can go and face the court at the court's pleasure. At the court's pleasure, well, you know, they'll see your case and so on, and then if there's a sentence to be administered, then they'll send you away to prison.
This is Nesbeth. All when I'm me alone, me still a stay strong. The world full of hate, me know they have to stay long. Till me dead, you know, a straight nation. Now sell me soul, me love, me salvation. Keep it locked. You're watching Straight Talk with the General himself, Big Son. I know Nesbeth and Darcy. Do.
An inmate is detained at the pleasure of Her Majesty, the Governor General, or the court, if that person is unfit to plead or is found guilty but is suffering from a mental disorder. Mr. Chambers was being held at the pleasure of the Governor General after being charged for a murder on February 4, 1980. But despite officially being passed fit to plea multiple times over his 40-year imprisonment at the Tow Street Adult Correctional Facility, Mr. Chambers was never brought before a judge.
The report reveals that there are serious breaches of rights regarding fair trial and speedy trial of persons who were thought unfit to plead but who are now fit to plead, and serious breaches of the right against inhumane treatment.
According to Commissioner Williams, Mr. Chambers died on January 27 this year after he collapsed while being treated at hospital. He perished from an acute and severe kidney infection.
When found by Indicom upon his death, he was chronically emaciated, severely malnourished. His body was covered with vermin bites, and there were live bed bugs, popularly called in Jamaica chink, all over his body, and he was suffering bed sores. It was clear that he was a victim of inhumane treatment in our prisons.
Indicom found 9 other inmates who've been declared fit to plea, but have not been placed before a judge. The oversight body also found at least 15 inmates who've been in prison for more than 30 years without being tried. All this, despite the Commissioner of Corrections being required by law to produce a monthly report on inmates who've been deemed fit to plea. In bemoaning the poor condition of the prisons, Commissioner Williams had these recommendations.
We're recommending that there be a proper system in place for the review of persons who are unfit to plea, so that their cases can be returned to court when they may become fit to plea, or when their detention goes long beyond any period of incarceration for that particular offense. And we are also asking that persons who were held under Her Majesty's pleasure or Governor General's pleasure be brought under the court's pleasure, so that the court can review all of these cases in the same way.
But the Governor General's pleasure, as you saw with George Williams, he was held on the Governor General's pleasure. He was released a few years ago. They gave him a measly $6 million for spending almost 50 years in prison. Now, my straight talk is we need to fix that. There's a lot of people in the prison system that has been there for quite some time, not being charged with a crime. Prison is supposed to be for rehabilitation. Prison and a bed of rose, as Jackie would say. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's clean up the judiciary system. Let's make sure that if somebody goes into prison, they can be rehabilitated. The necessary infrastructures are in place to rehabilitate someone. You cannot have a young man going into prison and after he spent 10, 15, 20 years, he come back worse than how he got in. So let's fix it. And this is my straight talk. I need to hear from you as to what you say in regards to holding someone at the Governor General's pleasure. Noel Chambers got out death. Mr. William got out based on the powerful Vibes Cartel attorney, Isaac Buchanan, who got the case and he saw wherein this man has not been charged with a crime. This man is suffering from some, whether it's dementia or insanity, we don't know, because Mr. Williams will just sit there and stare in oblivion. So we have to big up the law firm of Isaac Buchanan, the same one who got out Vibes Cartel, man, and he did a remarkable job. That's how Mr. George Williams got out of prison. Straight talk with Big Stone.